Hello PMPBeta viewers. First of all, I would like to say a big thank you to all of you who clicked on this video and invited me into your lives in the next 9 or so minutes. It's a real privilege for me to be uploading to this channel. My name is Mark, aka HouseOfWolves100, and today I've got for you an NU battle against TheFlawlessWin. Now for 99% of you who have absolutely no idea who I am, I'm an avid lower tier battler who mainly plays PU, and I don't really like to use standard sets all that often, not because I'm some hipster fag who has to prove how nonconformist I am. In reality, it's because it gets quite boring for me to play with and against standard sets frequently. And if it's boring for me to play, then it's going to be boring for you guys to watch. After all, you're only going to get less interested seeing the same standard walls and threats used all the time. Mola! Sorry about that. So let's jump straight into the team preview here. On my side of the field, I've got a physical Electabuzz who, unfortunately, doesn't look like he's going to be able to do much work this game, just because Mischievous does wall me quite well, and my opponent doesn't have any electric-type weaknesses. I've also got a sub-Swords Dance Sweeper Anorith, a Choice Specs Tangler, the Hippocool Defensive Core, who cover each other's weaknesses nicely, barring the special ground hits, but I can always just switch to Tangler to take them. And finally, I've got priority in the form of Sucker Punch from Life Orb Pawnyard. On my opponent's side of the field, the big threat is going to be that Primeape, just because the coverage moves of Ice Punch in close combat, combined with that high attack stat, they will do solid damage to everything in my team, barring the Tentacool, so I've just got to switch around that carefully and try and wear it down with entry hazards. Also, if I can get rid of that Grumpig, then Tangler should be able to do some work against his team, so let's jump straight into the battle. So first turn here, I lead with my Electabuzz as my opponent leads with his Cacturn, and this is a great matchup for me because 99% of Electabuzzes, they are Choice Scarfed. So I had two things in my mind here. First off, my opponent is likely to switch out to the Grumpig throwing the Hidden Power Ice. He doesn't want to lose his Cacturn at turn 1. But there was a second scenario in my head that he might stay in, predicting my Volt Switch and go for the Spikes or an SD, or he would go out to Zebstrike predicting that. But it's turn 1, people say you shouldn't over-predict turn 1, so he does make the safe play, he goes out to the Grumpig, and I can just go for that unprotected Focus Punch. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is beautiful. Okay, so it didn't do that much damage, but that is just free damage on his only check to my Tangler, and the potential benefits of that play would have been even greater if he did over-predict. So I predict the T-Wave here and just sub down, and this means that I can get some more free damage off on this Grumpig, as he has to now stay in here and break my sub. So I can just go for the Thunder Punch, and that brings it down below half, so that is really good news. This now means that a Choice Specs Leaf Storm, even at min damage, will be able to take out this Grumpig. As my opponent does just go for the Psychic to break my sub, he's not going to let me sub down again here, so he is going to go for the Psychic, which will give me a free switch into my Unsullied Warrior, the Pawnyard, who being Powered Dark type is immune to that Psychic, which allows me to make the aggressive switch here into the Pawnyard, as it does directly threaten the Grumpig, and he has to switch out here because he's going to need that Grumpig later on in the game, so I can just go for that Swords Dance, get myself up to +2. Now I did calc this, and a +2 Life Orb Sucker Punch would only do at max damage 91.51% to the Primeape, and as much as I'd have liked to stay in there just to get as much damage off on this Primeape, I have to keep Pawnyard alive as it is my only priority user, and you never really know when priority is going to come in useful in battle. So I just make the safe switch into Hippopotas to take any physical hit, as he just goes to the U-turn into the Cacturn to threaten that. But that's not a problem, I can just go on to my Tangler, who does completely shut down this Cacturn, and I can just go for that Sludge Bomb. I didn't want to over-predict there, because the only thing that resists the Sludge Bomb on his team is the Regirock, and there's no why would you switch a Regirock in onto a Tangler. But it does a solid amount to this Zebstrike, and my opponent has played it pretty straightforward so far, so the overheat is kind of obvious, and I can just go out into Tentacool. He does go for that, and he does get the -2 special attack. So even if he goes to Thunderbolt here or Volt Switch, I am safe just to stay in and go for those Toxic Spikes, because it won't take Tentacool out from here. Anyone who's played NU and used a Tentacool, they know how much of a beast that is. Now, I do make a questionable play here. I go for the Scold, just to see what he was going to do, and also just to see how much Scold would do. But it now puts me in a tricky situation, because I can't switch out to Pawnyard, which Mischievous does outspeed, and he could Will-O-Wisp, and I also can't switch out into Tangler in case he goes for the Shadow Ball, which outside of min damage will 2-hit KO Tangler. So I just go into Electabuzz, which is now my least useful poke, as he unfortunately misses the Will-O-Wisp on the switch. That does happen, it is a 100% accurate move. And the aim here now is just literally just try and do as much damage as possible. And you can see here for both of us, it's going to be a 3 or 4 hit KO with each of our attacking moves. And in the long run, this is going to benefit me a lot more because Mischievous does have that base 80 speed stat, and with the Will-O-Wisp it can threaten out a few of my Pokemon. And as I said before, Electabuzz isn't going to be much use to this game for me, but you'd be surprised how much work a physical set can do, and that is primarily down just to that surprise factor. And he realises this now, he's going to try and preserve his Mischievous with as much health as he can get. So he just goes out into his Regirock with that 200 base defense, even a crit there, that only does like a quarter, which is just insane. Regirock is just so good in NU. But I do not want him setting up Stealth Rocks here, so I just go for that Focus Punch, force him to kill me off, otherwise he's going to take a really big hit from his Focus Punch. And he does indeed do that, which now means I can get some switch initiative on him, and I can just go out into my Tangler, and we've kind of got to the stage of the game now where every time I bring Tangler in, something's going to have to die off to a Leaf Storm, and every time he brings Primeape in, it looks like I'm going to have to sack something off. So I can just go now into the Tangler and just go for that Leaf Storm, and thanks to Electabuzz's prior damage earlier on, Leaf Storm will kill it off here. So if there's any of you out there watching this video who thought about using Choice Specs Tangler in NU, seriously go and make one, because that base 100 special attack with Choice Specs and Stab Leaf Storm combined with the element of surprise, it is just so good, it wrecks a lot of NU teams. So my opponent brings in the Captain here, and I'm at -2 special attack, so I won't be able to take him down. But I do stay in here just to try and wear it down a little bit, as I don't want him setting up a substitute on my switch or going for the Swords Dance, because I haven't seen all 4 of the moves yet. And as you can see there, that does about half combined with poison damage, and that is just power. It's a resisted hit as well. Okay, it may be a Captain and its defences aren't very good, but still, that does a lot of damage. As he just goes for a second layer of spikes, and whilst his Mischievous is still alive, that is going to be a problem. So now my opponent is more than likely going to go for that third layer of spikes. I can safely bring in Pawniard here, and he is at a range of health where Sucker Punch will finish him off, and his Sucker Punch won't outspeed because I am naturally faster. So he brings in the Primeape now for the revenge kill, and my opponent does have those 3 layers of spikes up, so I can't safely switch out into Hippopotas to take 2 close combats. Combined with that spikes damage, that will finish me off. So I do need Hippopotas later to cancel that Primeape and Regirock. So I just go for as much damage as I can with that Sucker Punch, and it does about half, which is pretty respectable for a resisted hit. Pawniard is very powerful. I have had a swoop with it, it is on my channel if you want to go and watch that. But anyway, Hippopotas, I can bring that in now. In case he does want to go for that another close combat, I can just slack off here. But he does decide to switch, he makes a better play, and brings in that Regirock, which is a better matchup for me because he can't hit me very effectively, whereas I can just go for those Earthquakes and wear him down a bit. So at this point, the rocks now are inevitable, so I can just fire some back at him, and he does lack a Rapid Spinner, so those rocks are there to stay on his side of the field. Whereas Tentacle does outspeed a Regirock, so there may be an opportunity in the future to spin them away. Now the switch here to Mischievous to take the Earthquake, because I have Levitate ability, that is very obvious, so I can just go for that Whirlwind, fire that big old Gust of Wind right out of my blowhole, because everyone knows the Hippos have blowholes, and Zebstrike is brought in, and it will die off to their entry hazards, so this has just turned into some kind of sick National Geographic program, where Hippos kill off Zebras. Ring up P to somebody, because this is just wrong. So in comes the Mischievous now. I don't want him to Pain Split back up to a decent amount, so I can use his own entry hazards here to go into my lowest HP Pokemon, which is this Anorith, who does take 50% from entry hazards, and as you can see here, this Plane Split will only give him about 30 extra HP. In my mind here, I was thinking that I have to sub down just to drop my HP because I didn't really want him Pain Splitting me again, but that was a bit of a false dilemma really, and it was just a 1-turn extension on this game, as I do just go for the Rock Blast, land the 4 hits and take him out. And now the one thing that was stopping me from rapid spinning, it is now gone. And if you're wondering here why Anorith outspeeds Mischievous, that is because Anorith, unlike Armaldo, is actually quite fast. It's got base 75 speed stat, which a lot of people who play NU regularly against Armaldos, they don't expect that. They think that Anorith is going to be slower than Armaldo. So he brings in the Regirock now, I can just go for that Rock Blast, get a bit more free damage off on him, as he just takes me out. And this is the big play now, I can come in with a Tentacle, go for that Rapid Spin, all that hard work that he's put in to get the 3 layers of spikes up and the Stealth Rocks up, that is just removed. And what this means after he takes me out is that I can come in with the Tangler, go for that Giga Drain, take out the Regirock, and then it all comes down to whether his Primeape has the Ice Punch and whether it can take me out, and then also take out Hippopotas. So I come in with the Tangler here, go for that Giga Drain, that will easily take out Regirock. His special defense isn't as good. So in comes the Primeape, and he goes for the close combat, which he doesn't go for the Ice Punch, which I thought was kind of strange. He did tell me after the game that he never actually had the Ice Punch, so I was worried about the Ice Punch for nothing really. I wasn't to know, and that will be a good game. So thank you very much to TheFlawlessWin, that was a really good game, which I did enjoy playing, and I hope you all enjoyed that too. Go and check out my opponent's channel, and also swing by my channel, and with that being said, I will see you all next time. Goodbye.